One Piece is one of the most popular and most critically acclaimed series in anime or manga. You pretty much can't go anywhere in Japan without seeing it. It dominates the market absolutely in Japan and is well known all over the West. The series has been going over 20 years and boasts over 900 chapters, as well as over 800 episodes of anime, breaking records year after year and holding the record for the highest amount of manga sold of all time. And even with all that said, I still have to say, One Piece sucks. Now you might be asking yourself, how could anybody say that One Piece sucks? It's the best series ever. Everybody loves One Piece. Who is this guy? Well, before we even jump into the story, let's take a second to talk about the anime. The anime of One Piece was animated by Toei Animation, a company that's been around since 1948. It's one of the founding fathers of anime studios. It pretty much led the way into animation for Japan and has animated multiple series like Sailor Moon, Dragon Ball, Toriko, and even helped a lot with the mech series. So what could possibly have gone wrong here? How could Toei Animation, a company so big, ever do bad? Well, One Piece suffers from multiple things in its animation. It's got some of the worst animation to begin with for a studio of this size. It has so many reused frames. Any tension that you would have gotten from an awesome fight with the villain is completely destroyed because you go from one frame to another, some animation, some actual video, and then back to the same old frames. You do this about 3 times and people are bored and any tension is completely gone here. It's got the most generic sound effects I've ever heard. In fact, I can probably do a better job with the sound effects myself. Let's see. Boing, 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 boing. It's something you would hear out of a Sony Vegas basic default plugins. Actually, not even that. A free cheap video editor online probably has about the same generic sound effects that you would hear from a Toei Animation. Now let's go ahead and forgive and forget Toei Animation for their really cheap sound effects and poor animation skills that is used in the One Piece anime and talk about what I consider to be the actual main issue with One Piece's anime, and that's the pacing. You look at the first 100 episodes of One Piece, the pacing was actually pretty decent. Or you got 1 episode which equals 2 chapters, pretty much a rule of thumb for any of the really long running anime. One Piece is now boasting a 1 chapter equals 1 episode at max. Sometimes you only get 0.65 of a chapter in an episode. Now imagine that and think about it. Why would you watch 23 minutes of One Piece when you can get the same amount, actually more information from a chapter that you can read in 5 or 10 minutes? And I'll help you if you actually pay to watch One Piece. If you pay a subscription to watch One Piece, you're really getting 10 to 12, maybe 13 minutes of content. You have 2.5 minutes for the opening, another 2 to 5 minutes to hear what happened last time. Actually, not even last time, what's happened in the entire arc. Then the actual episode. Then what happens next time and an ending theme. You're barely getting any content for what you're paying for. The pacing is horribly slow. The Dressrosa arc took like 2 or 3 years just to get through. Can you imagine sitting there and waiting every week just to get half a chapter of content? Alright, now that we're done talking about the anime, let's actually look at the story of One Piece. There's a lot of characters, a very impressively large roster of characters in One Piece, but sadly most of them actually kind of suck. Nothing gets done with them later on in the series and they're basically the same character they were when they were introduced. To give all the characters these personalities and humors that get old really fast, the same gags get used over and over again, like Brooke asking if he can see a girl's panties for the 300th time isn't really funny anymore. And really, was it funny ever? The main character, Luffy, was made kind of stupid. I know it's comic relief, but really after such a long time of the series running, kind of gets old seeing him be reckless and go in with very little consideration for anybody or even himself. Now let's talk about Luffy for a second. He is a main character, and as a main character I find that he's actually not very special. He has fun powers, very fun personality, but guess what? So does every other battle shonen anime or manga protagonist. What's the difference? I want to be Pirate King. I want to be Hokage. What does this guy say again? Oh yeah, right.
Is to go even further beyond!
Now Now, generally speaking, the character designs in One Piece at first look very creative, but it's somewhat the opposite. While male characters boast all kinds of different shapes and sizes, every female character is the same Betty Spaghetti looking body with watermelon boobs, and if they're not drawn that way, then it just make them look like ridiculous beasts. But let's look away from the visuals of One Piece for a second and focus on the narrative. What problems could lie in the narrative or the story of One Piece? Well, for one, every arc is basically recycled. Villains are recycled or groups of villains that oppress people, and then Luffy and his crew come and save them. It's the same thing over and over again. Because of this, there are actually arcs that can be skipped. Skypiea, for example, has a great story for itself, but does nothing for the actual entire story of the series. You can literally skip to the newest episode or chapter of One Piece and pretty quickly understand what's going on and just continue from there. The series is insanely long. At the time you spend watching and reading it, you could actually have read or watched so many more amazing and better written stories. You get very attached to One Piece after reading it for so many years, and you're afraid to let it go, but quickly kind of understand that when you see all of these plot devices, recycled content that's convenient for the writer, you start to realize this story is aimed at children or young teenagers, and it makes you feel kind of dumb for reading it as an adult. Alright guys, now with all of that said, Panel to Panel gives One Piece a solid 10 out of 10. I'm a loser and I read this series every single week. I can't wait for the next chapter to come out this week. Make sure you guys tune in till next time where I make a video on how One Piece is actually a masterpiece. And make sure you subscribe if you want to see more videos like this one, and check our description for all of our social medias. Anyways guys, thanks for watching and have an awesome day.